strategic planning versus strategic management.
The previous section discusses the differences between strategic thinking and strategic planning. Although the differences between the concepts seem subtle, it is important to understand and recognize them. The same is true when it comes to the differences between strategic planning and strategic management. Although very closely related, and to some interchangeable, there are important distinctions between them. One can actually look at the variations as a continuum, where strategic thinking begets strategic planning, which in turn begets strategic management. However, in reality the process is a continuous loop, not a continuum with a beginning and an end. As discussed earlier, Mintzberg 61 calls the phrase strategic planning an oxymoron. He argues that real strategies are rarely the result of paneled conference room meetings, but are more likely to result informally from real-time hallway conversations, casual work groups, or casual moments of reflection. 62 Mintzberg sees strategic management as encompassing both strategic thinking and strategic planning, where strategic thinking is synthetic and divergent and strategic planning is analytical, systematic, and convergent. Taking this view, one can see that strategic management is the result of both the thinking and planning processes. However, it should not be viewed as the end, rather it is the action and subsequent checkpoint of the previous steps that then serves as the new beginning to the recursive cycle. Having examined some of the differences between thinking and planning, with an emphasis on thinking, let's examine the more intricate aspects of planning. Hacks and Majloff 6.3 suggest 3 levels of planning: corporate, business, and functional. The corporate strategic plan is the result of a disciplined and well-defined organization-wide effort aimed at completely specifying corporate strategy. Andrews 64 expressed corporate strategy as the pattern of decisions in a company that determines and reveals its objectives, purposes, or goals, produces the principal policies and plans for achieving those goals, and defines the range of business the company is to pursue, the kind of economic and human organization it is or intends to be, and the nature of the economic and non-economic contribution it intends to make to its shareholders, employee, customers, and communities. It defines the businesses in which a company will compete, preferably in a way that focuses resources to convey distinct competences into competitive advantages. The planning process entails 3 major tasks that need to be updated and revised at every planning cycle. These 3 tasks are strategy formulation, strategic programming, and strategic and operational budgeting. Planning at the corporate level should not be considered a top-down or a bottom-up process. Rather, it is a complex, integrative activity requiring participation by all the key members of the organization who propose objectives from the top, and equally, participation from business and functional levels of the organization for specific pragmatic alternatives. It provides a rich communication mechanism giving voice to managers about their personal beliefs regarding the conduct of the firm. It offers key participants a valuable shared experience. 65. A cornerstone of the strategic planning process involves segmenting the organization's various activities in terms of business units. This requires asking and answering the question, what business are we in? On the surface, this question is deceptively simple, yet in practice, it represents one of the most challenging and vexing questions faced by most organizations and requires creative and extensive analysis to fully answer. This criterion of segmentation may be valid for a vertically integrated, multi-divisional corporation. However, most companies have difficulty breaking their businesses into totally unrelated units. In general, businesses within the same organization share resources in order to exploit economies of scale and maximize resource utilization. As such, most business activities need to be properly and adequately coordinated. 66. It should be noted that general planning and strategic planning are not the same. Although the role of planning in general is indisputable, The value of formal strategic planning is subject to something less than unanimity. However, there seems to be little doubt that most managers find it extremely useful, if not outright essential. What then is the real value of formal strategic planning? The extant literature seems to conclude that its principal role is to help an organization make better strategies using systematic, logical, and more rational approaches to strategic choices. 67 Henry 68 describes the functions of a fully developed strategic planning system to 1. Determine organizational purpose and management philosophy.